Hi, thank you for listening to the recording of this live stream. Hello, my name's Diane Campbell, and I run the Lavender Room, which is complementary therapies, and also many different natural health related practices. So just waiting for the technology to catch up. Those of you who know me know that the technology gods often give me a little bit of a run for my money, and things don't always work as they're meant to be straight off. So let's hope that it all works properly and that you'll be able to hear me. It seems a bit dark on the screen, but if I put the big light on, it kind of overpowers things, so hopefully you can see and hear me okay. So thank you for those that are here live. And just to let you know that I'm going to be talking about a few things that are going to help us through busy times. That's it. Oh, people are starting to arrive. Wonderful, thank you. Hello, so welcome. Let's get this going for one of my first ever live streams from the Lavender Room. Thank you for all the lovely hearts. You think you're talking to yourself, don't you? So as I say, hopefully the gremlins will keep away and all the technology will work fine. So yes, so my name's Diane Campbell, and I run the Lavender Room, and I've been trading now for about, 19 years. I use lots of different complementary therapies. It's been a kind of a hobby that turned into a business, something that I love doing. So I use lots of different therapies to help people. I always envisaged having a little toolkit of skills that could help people with their different issues, and that's the way I do tend to work. And people that know me fairly well, that have been clients or students, will often contact me and say, oh, I've got such and such a problem, is there anything, have you got a potion or something that I can take or that can help me with this particular issue? And I do love to work that way. So what this little live stream is all about is some handy tips for a healthy and happy Christmas time or holidays in general. So there's a few things that you'd probably think of or just need to be reminded of, or maybe things that you haven't thought of. So I'm going to pull into some of my little skills from different areas of my life. So as I say, I do lots of different therapies, from massage and aromatherapy that I love, all the smells and all those essential oils, and things like reflexology. I'm also a yoga teacher, and some of you come to my regular weekly classes held here in the Wirral. In gyms and things. I also run retreats one day, weekends, and a longer retreat next summer, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. So first of all, when things get a bit too busy and life all seems a bit hectic, which I'm sure we're not feeling any of that this year so far, we're all very much keeping nice and calm and relaxed and not letting all this busyness kind of get to us. At least that's what I've been preaching all day in yoga classes today. So things like, on the practical side of things, I'm sure you've heard all the gurus, all the chefs on TV and radio saying about getting organised, and that can be a very practical thing. If you're a list maker, or even if you're not a list maker, maybe just make an exception and do yourself a little list and write down all the things that you need to achieve. So whether it's you've got to clean the house, whether you've got to do shopping, make a list of all the things you need to cook or you need to make, and then categorise them, what things that you can get as much done before the busy time as you can. That would be my little tip for you. And then kind of work backwards on the day, what time you're going to eat, and kind of work backwards on your little plan as to what needs to go in the oven when, and keep calm. So some other little things when things seem to be getting very, very hectic and you kind of forget who you are because you're so busy looking after everybody else. And some little things that you can think of is to, or I can think of, is to think about scheduling some me time, because often we leave ourselves out of everything. Very often, particularly with women, we tend to put ourselves last. It's the house, the family, the children, the dog, and we kind of forget about ourselves. So some little things, is there something that you can do for yourself daily or weekly, whether it's to just take yourself off and meet a friend for a cuppa, for a coffee somewhere, or even just take some time out for yourself and have a little read of a magazine or a book, or to take a lovely bath with some essential oils in. Thank you for all the lovely hearts going past. That's very nice to see. So yes, you can have a nice, I quite like a bath as a sort of therapeutic tool. It's because you kind of immerse yourself then in essential oils, and you can't bath without having essential oils in your bath, because it's against the law in our house anyway. So what essential oils could we use to keep ourselves nice and calm? Well, some of the if you only have one essential oil in the house, I would suggest that you have lavender oil, which is where kind of the inspiration of my business came from. Lavender is kind of a plant that people are aware of, and it's if they know about essential oils, that's usually one that they're aware of. So some lavender oil there, that's one that's got one of my labels on. So lavender oil is a bit of a one thing fits all, very good for relaxing, calming the situation. So you can add it to shower, but you can put it in a burner, in a couple of drops into a burner. You can make a spritzer out of it. You could add it to shower gels, or a body lotion would be quite nice as well, wouldn't it? In the bath, and have that in a shower lotion, in a body lotion rather, afterwards. I've also seen something this week which I want to have a little play with. Some body butter sounds wonderful, where you just use some shea butter and whip it up. So that sounds wonderful. Yes, it's one of my favourite blends as well. Thank you, Sarah. And it's also very good if you happen to burn yourself when you're busy in the kitchen over the holidays. That's my kind of go-to. I would get some lavender oil and put it straight on. I do have some wonderful blends as well that work alongside individual blends, individual oils. Other essential oils that come to mind are geranium is a really good balancing oil. So if you're feeling, I've got one of those out as well, again on one of my labels. Geranium oil is a really good one for if you're feeling a bit low and things are getting to you. It can help to boost you. If things get a bit hectic and you need to just chill things right out, then geranium is a really good all-round balancer. And I've also known people that it's helped them with other issues where they've had perhaps an issue with thyroid problems or hormonal imbalances, and they found that using geranium oil has helped them to balance all those things out. And they're no more a screaming banshee, they turn into a lovely human being. Yes, lovely Sharon, that's one of your favourites as well. I love the smell of it too. And also clary sage is another one that I quite like. And when I was teaching a therapy course at the college for many years, and I always get them to try and imagine what they can smell, what comes to mind when you sniff this essential oil. And it always reminds me of damp tobacco leaves, got a kind of earthy smell, and it's very good for kind of relaxing us right down. And chamomile as well is another nice relaxing one. So any of those, you could mix a couple together, or have the one on their own if it's your favourite, and you make these wonderful combinations. I know some schools of thought say don't mix this with that, but I put some weird and wonderful concoctions together in the past, and they've always turned out really well. Maybe unusual smells, but they've usually worked at just the right place for helping out in whatever way. Okay, so scheduling some me time, magazines, and also getting out for a walk would be really good. So if you've got a dog, it's nice to get out and have a little walk. Hi Liz, nice to see you. Even if the weather's not particularly nice, it's lovely if you've got a nice warm coat to wrap up warm. And here we're very lucky, we've got lots of beaches all around us. We can go and head off onto one of the beaches. Yes, oh hi Lottie, nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a little while. Yes, a few drops of cream is good for hormone balance, and we do have a hormone balancing blend as well that's very good for that. So getting out for a walk, if you haven't got a dog, I'm sure you can borrow somebody else's or go with them when they go for a walk, or even if you can just get out into the garden and take some time out in the garden and see what's around nature. There's perhaps not so many flowers around now, but just watching the trees as they move, or the birds. In my garden, as some as you know, I've got 3 little chickens that wander around as well, so they never let you to be in the garden on your own. They do like to come up and see what you're up to. So what other things? Breathing. I know it's something that we do naturally and we think we haven't got to practice, and I do remember a comment when I was doing my yoga training that, I don't need to practice breathing, I do it automatically. So just remembering to take time out to take some nice deep breaths. So it's good to kind of sit down and put your feet on the floor and just breathe. And another little tip that I often tell my yoga students about is this kind of solar plexus area just below the breastbone there, seat of our emotions. For me, that was always the place that I felt if I got stressed at work. It usually was busy times of year like this. And I get like a little knot as if it was all tight in there. I'd find it difficult to breathe. And so something that I was taught in yoga is to just sit quietly with that sensation and just breathe into it. So take yourself off somewhere quiet that you can kind of get away from whatever hustle or bustle or whoever's annoying you at that point. Even if you're in work and you take yourself off to the toilets for 5 minutes and just sit down and breathe into the sensation. You'll find that your mind will start to churn away and tell you why that's happened and why you feel this, because this, let go of all that story and just feel the emotion, feel whatever that feeling is. Sometimes you can't even name what the feeling is, it's just there. So by breathing into it, nice, long, deep breaths, you'll find that suddenly it just releases of its own accord, and it's a really good little simple tip that you can use. It doesn't cost you anything, you don't have to have any special equipment, you can just simply do it when you need to. Okay, I made a few little notes as to things that might be of use. Christmas cards is a thing that I know people get quite stressed about. Might think I'm a bit naughty or whatever, but I stopped sending Christmas cards a few years ago because it was stressing me trying to find the time to do them. So I just thought, I'm not going to bother. So just make a donation to a charity instead, or get somebody else to do them, even better. Excuse me. A good idea to share the load and get some other people to help you out there. A bit of delegation. And also I was thinking, as well as essential oils, there was some flower essences, because as some of you know, I do flower essences and essential oils, excuse me, as well as working with some therapies, lots of different types of therapy. So some of the essential oils that I thought might be very useful, I picked out some photographs to show you. Not particularly brilliant photograph, but from the Batch range, which is one that's very pertinent to me. Hi Sarah, nice to see you. Elm essential oil. So I've still got some of the original Batch. They come in a little bottle like that. That's usually how I describe them to people. If they don't know them, they'll see them. And this is elm from the tree. It's a few trees today, and there's a lovely picture of it here. So if you feel a bit overwhelmed and things are just getting so busy and you don't know where you're going to get your next breath from, where's the patience going to come from, a really good flower essence to work with. So just taking that calmness, that serenity from the lovely elm flower essence. And so it's one that I've used quite a bit. It's a kind of pattern that I repeat throughout my life, where I'm very, very busy, do lots and lots of things, and it becomes too much. And then I take something like that and I offload and get rid of a few things, and then I sit there, twiddle my thumbs and think, ooh, what do I do now? I've got time on my hands. So elm is a really good flower essence, so you can take it in your water. When I'm teaching my yoga classes, there's always essences in my bottles of water. You can put it in your tea or in your coffee, whenever you need, or you can just put it on your tongue. And then the other one on the same kind of ilk, again staying with trees, is the oak flower essence, again in the same range. Again, I've still got one of the original bottles. I'm sure there's not very much of those left. For those of us that are very strong and very capable and kind of take on too many things, my bit goes sort of hand in hand with elm really. So the lovely oak tree. I do love oak trees. There's some fabulous oak trees in my local park, which I love to go and visit and stand underneath. So feel that strength, that oak tree. So by taking this essence, it would help you to delegate a little bit more and offload some of that extra work that we take on. So if we need a bit of that, just draw in that energy from that lovely card. And again, some nice deep breaths. Maybe have your feet on the floor. So lovely, that wonderful flower. Say a wonderful tree rather. I've got some lovely, really ancient trees in the local park. It's quite nice to just go and connect with those. Oh, that's a new picture. I haven't seen that picture before. Thank you. Also, I was thinking of another little breathing exercise, which sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself. When I'm in my yoga classes, there's a special yogic breathing technique that we call Ujjayi breathing, and it's very good for when we're feeling very kind of stressed and busy mind and a bit all worked up, and and it just gives you a chance. It calms the mind, it relaxes the body, and it's a bit of a strange one if you've not come across it before. Imagine you're going to mist up the window to write your name in it, kind of feeling a little closing of the throat. And the breath comes through this narrowed passageway. You find that the breath really lengthens and deepens. And it helps to let go of all the stress and hecticness that's going on around you. So again, another good, useful little technique. So just in your question there, Lottie, there's a few things. So the essential oils, the lavender might help. And Lottie's asking what's good for anxiety with children. Chamomile would be quite a good essential oil. Lavender would be quite good. And some of the flower essences, perhaps come back to that a little bit later on when I get inspired as to which one to recommend to you. Actually, there's another flower essence that's beckoning to me. It's one that I love, and again would be quite apt for this kind of where we get a bit overwhelmed and a bit stressed about all the things that are going on. And a lot of people don't like them, but I love them, and that's dandelion. So this one is actually from an Alaskan range of flower essence, but I've got it from about 3 different ranges, and at some point I will make my own. I love to see them when they come out in the spring, in towards the summer. So the dandelion essence is about telling us to let go of things. So that might be good for your anxiety, Lottie, for your child there. So again, if we're holding on to things, which we do, don't we, and they churn around and round in your head, this dandelion essence would help us to just let go, relax, release, and let go of those stresses. Also very useful physically if you have tension in the body. I sometimes add it to massage clients if they're particularly tense. I've got some wonderful blends of essential oils that are very good, and I just add a couple of drops of dandelion essence that can help to just physically relax the body as well. So if I look at some of the things I've got around me, I tend to pick up on what energies are happening around me when I'm teaching in the yoga classes, and they were all pretty stressed today. They were lovely, looking forward to getting away from all that busyness that's kind of everywhere you go, isn't it? There's crowds of people all fighting against you to get shopping or whatever. You're very welcome, Lottie. So there's a couple of other flower essences that I thought about, or I know a lot of people have been feeling a bit of a dip in energies, and it was full moon kind of last night, and I know 1 or 2 people struggle with sleeping when the intensity of the full moon. Or I know I've even noticed it myself, which is quite unlike me, kind of low and a bit overwhelmed, a bit kind of down and depressed. So there's a couple of little essences that I've been using for when that's needed. Again, you could put them in a spray, you could actually take them in your water, and there's both yellow flowers, and there's mustard essence, which is another one of the batch ones. So that's really good, and the kind of description is when you suddenly feel a bit overwhelmed, a bit like a cloud of doom that descends from nowhere, and you just suddenly feel really low. So this would be a good essence to use. You can look at the flower, you can look at a picture of the flower, and that would help. And also that breathing into the solar plexus would help too. And then the other one I've got is gorse, which I've noticed gorse still around. I didn't think it was still around at this time of year, but I have seen gorse bushes, and that's a bit more of a, kind of a fear, hopelessness. Oh, it's never going to work out, kind of into that depths of despair. I do remember seeing lots of it down on the coast in Anglesey one spring, with all its prickly leaves and its beautiful bright yellow flowers that pop when you walk past them in the spring and head into the summer. Okay, so I think that's all, and maybe one more flower essence will speak to us at some point soon. So other things that you can do to make things go a little bit more smoothly is to try and, one thing is to turn off the TV, or at least stop watching the news and all the negativity that seems to be put out there on the news. It would be nice to have a good news channel. And I know some people like to be on top of it all, but it just can be quite frustrating that you're sat at home and you get that kind of stressed feelings because you don't feel like you can do anything to make any difference anyway. So I've not watched the news for many, many years. I sometimes catch it on the radio and have to turn it down. So that would be a good thing to turn that off. And avoid toxic people. That might not be very PC to say, but I've spoken to a lot of people just recently that friendships, especially with social media, there are people that, that for whatever reason they just can't connect with them. They just take from them in their energies, like an energy vampire. But they still keep going and visiting them. And I know if it's family, it's very difficult. We have to kind of grin and bear it. But where you can, life's too short. Oh, that's nice to see Sarah's still got lots of gorse in France. I think the seasons are all a bit out of sync at the moment. So the other say toxic people. So it's quite good if there's somebody that you're connected with on your social media. I've done it quite recently, and it's quite liberating to get rid of somebody that winds you up every time they post something, because they're saying one thing and doing something completely different. So it is quite, releasing if you can do that kind of thing. And say where it comes to physically meeting up with people, why put yourself through it? Don't accept an invite from that person, and don't invite them round to come out with you. Avoid them as much as you can. Avoid at your peril. So if you do have to go into those situations, always think about bringing yourself a cloak around you. Imagine you've got some kind of protection around you. Again, there are a few essences that can help with that. And one that seems quite relevant for me is one of the Australian bush essences, and it's the fringed violet. It's one that I've been using for a little while. I'm quite susceptible to other people's energies. I think those of us that work in the healing world, it's kind of a cross that we have to bear, that we tend to be quite easily absorb other people's energies. So fringed violet is a really good one for kind of protecting the aura and kind of filling those gaps. And again, you can have it in your water, you can spray it around the room. So it's a lovely little flower, isn't it? Much smaller than it is on the picture. It's only a tiny little thing. And of course, a colour that I really love, and I use quite a lot of lilacs and purples, don't I? For those of you that know me. So we looked at the world of flower essences, we've looked at some essential oils, we've looked at some of the breathing techniques that we use in yoga. So I do local yoga classes, which some of you might be aware of. There's sort of 5 on a weekly basis, all in the Wirral Peninsula. But I do run retreats. I'm hoping to do a one-day one at the end of January when everyone's feeling a bit fed up and looking for something to look forward to. So that'll be my classes are all very much about nurturing and deep relaxation. We did some yogic sleep today in the classes Yoga Nidra because everybody was in need of it. So and I am actually doing a live stream on Friday. I'm going to do a little meditation, a relaxation meditation on the Angel Cafe at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so you can find that if you're not already a member. So yeah, I've got a weekend in May, the 19th of May, in North Wales, in Llandudno, beautiful Victorian seaside town. If you've never been there, it's quite an experience, and it's right on the seafront, and there's a pier, and there's is it a mountain or a hill? The Orme, the Great Orme is there. You can go and walk that. We're right next to the theatre, so there's lots of things to do. And of course, I've got my biggie next year. I'm doing a week's retreat in a lovely location in the southwest of France, near Bordeaux, which will be wonderful. Again, lots of relaxation and lots of nice, gentle yoga, maybe just working to the edge of our abilities, so we're not kind of pushing into stronger or deeper postures. We're just going to be in the moment and be with ourselves. So I know that was quite a wide variety of things, so some of them may be relevant that you can use over the next couple of weeks, depending on when the children break up. It all normally starts, doesn't it? It's like watch for the fireworks to go on. So I hope you have a lovely, happy and healthy holidays, and that maybe some of the tips might help you. And if you need any more support, I can do online consultations, one-to-ones, or if you live locally, I can do those too. or if you're interested in any of the little retreats, small, short ones, one day, weekend, or the week one, then please let me know. Thank you all for being there, and I shall hopefully see you all again soon. Take care. Bye.